Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here on Nantucket. For those of you who haven't seen the show before, my name is Art Bergeron. I'm an attorney at Myrick O'Connell. There are 70 of us at Myrick O'Connell, biggest firm outside of Boston. And so because there are so many, everybody gets to do what they like. And I like elder law, so that's all I do. This show, though, is not about elder law. It's about my friends Frank and Mary and their kids, Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr. If you've seen any of my presentations, you know that their goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if they are on Nantucket, that means here. They definitely don't want to go to Martha's Vineyard. They don't want to go to San Diego with their kids. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to be here. So the point of this show is to introduce you to the people and the programs that you should know about if you want to just stay here forever. And so, because I'm not from here, I needed a great person who would actually know all those people. And so Alison Forsgren, my friend, volunteered to do this. It's now been about a year, right?
Yeah,
a long time we've been doing this. And she keeps coming in with great people to talk about, or to talk to, and with great programs to talk about. And that's the story today. So Alison, who do you have today?
Well, we're breaking it down into two half segments.
Yeah.
And the first half segment is going to talk about the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs and the Friends of the Saltmarsh Center, which are two separate things. And the second half of the show...
I still scratch my head, so this will be very helpful to help.
Right, we are trying to educate about what group does what for whom.
Yeah.
And the second half will be a Friends of Our Island Home board representative talking about our island home.
Yeah, even though the Friends of Our Island Home board representative doesn't come from Nantucket.
Correct.
But we're going to talk
today,
about that
today. But to start, Kathy Grieder is here. She's on the marketing committee for the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs and has a great new initiative coming out.
Some stuff, but first, just to ask for the very few people on Nantucket who don't know you already, can you kind of mention how you ended up getting here?
Sure.
And how long you've been here? I remember going to your beautiful home way out in Nantucket, right? What a spot. And here's some history, but can you just kind of talk about that?
Sure. I came to Nantucket originally as an infant. My parents came to visit my grandmother and grandfather, who moved here in the 30s. They opened a bakery on island and ran it during the 50s and 60s. And I worked in the bakery, and I met my husband as a summer girl here. And we got married, and we're back living here full-time on Nantucket in our retirement years.
That's okay. So you really have been here a long time. You really, yeah.
We have. I mean, we were away for about 40 years at Foxborough.
Yeah.
But we were back and forth through the years. You know, the family's still here and visiting.
And you were always here summers and stuff. So that's wonderful. And you got involved. So you're involved with a ton of stuff. But you're involved.
I'm very ambitious and involved with the senior community. Seniors have always been a passion with me. I love working with seniors. And when I got back here, I said, well, now that I'm a senior, I can go to the senior center. So I started going to the Saltmarsh Senior Center, and was active in some games, and I did some exercise programs. And I realized that there is a board that's called Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs. It's not a building. I thought it was a building. It's an actual board. It's a nonprofit organization that raises funds to support the Saltmarsh Senior Center. The Saltmarsh Senior Center is actually run by the town of Nantucket. The Council on Aging is affiliated with the town. It's one of the town groups that does the programs and runs the Saltmarsh Senior Center. The Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs is actually a friends group. We're a fundraising arm of the Saltmarsh Senior Center.
And who owns the building?
The building is owned by the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs.
By NCEA.
Which makes things a little complicated. So
do they own the land?
They do not own the land. The land is owned by the town.
I see.
So
this is why
the building has been leased from the town since the 80s, I guess. And it's grown. You know, the population has grown, and the interest in the community to attend the activities there has grown. So the fundraisers that we've had have helped to fund some of those programs and also to maintain the building. So that leads me to we have decided that we need a new senior center on Nantucket. Population is growing, and there's been a movement over a year now. The town is working with a work group from people from the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs, some of the board members, to work together to come up with some ideas on how to get a new senior center here on Nantucket.
And so we've actually had Libby Gibson on the show, as well as Julie Fitzgerald, who has sort of spoken about the stages way back when they were still
Many
being developed.
stages.
Yes, so it's a
Right.
it's a continuing story.
So we just want to, we're trying to bring the point that the senior population is growing and the needs are there, not just for the Salt Marsh, but for our island home, for other areas of the town, population that needs that attention. So I just recently found out that out of the 13,718 residents as of right now that are listed with the town clerk's office, 4,230 of them are 55 and older, which comes to 31% of the population.
31% and growing, right?
So that's an eye-opener. I mean, 31% and growing, right, exactly. So with all of this happening, we wanted to bring attention and some recognition to the seniors for their commitment to the town in the past, and to recognize them for all the things they have done for the community. So we came up with an idea, and CEA has come up with an idea to go in with the Council on Aging to write, to ask for a proclamation to make 2020 the year of the Nantucket Senior. So a letter was written to the Select Board, and it was approved last Wednesday night, and it's now official. So hopefully we're going to be able to move forward this coming year with some great ideas and some interest. And anyone out there who may be interested in contributing some time, feel free to contact me or through Laura at the Salt Marsh Center, and give me their name and number, and I'd be happy to welcome them aboard. We need all the help we can.
And so the goal is sort of to have some community awareness happening on a monthly basis or
Right.
bi-weekly basis, whether it's bringing people in to do something or highlighting, what are some of the ideas that
Some of the ideas are to have events, to recognize some of the people in the community, maybe in the newspaper, have highlight different community members who have contributed to the island in their past lives, and are also contributing in their senior years. There's a lot of senior volunteerism on Nantucket. If they went away, I don't know what we would do in some of these nonprofits. But anyway, we're hoping to bring more attention and understanding of the different senior community activities and options, like the Island Home in the Salt Marsh, and to tell the difference between the two of them. A lot of
'Cause people
people
always get it
think
mixed up.
they're all the same
That
thing.
and Landmark House, right?
Right, exactly.
How do all
Exactly.
So as a curiosity, it's NCEA, but you're now also calling yourselves, for simplicity's
So
sake,
for simplicity, exactly.
what is the
Friends of Nantucket Seniors.
the Friends of Nantucket?
And now we
Seniors,
have a
right.
logo, and we're working on a website,
Which
so
I
we
heard you
have an
helped invent.
identity.
Yeah.
We haven't got an identity. If anybody ever looked up Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs, not much really comes up about us.
Right.
So we want to bring awareness to the community of who we are and what we do.
And so the NCEA is their own 501c3.
They are.
There's nothing related to the town of Nantucket, except
No.
for they share a goal of
Right.
providing a senior center.
Right,
So the contributions to NCEA, if you're making a contribution, it's tax deductible, and
Exactly.
you know that it's specifically focused on the Salt Marsh or whatever the Salt Marsh and the programs
Right.
and things. So how do you raise money? How do you raise?
well,
money?
we have.
Pretty successfully.
Yeah.
We have been doing an annual letter that goes out for a fundraiser, which just went out recently, and we hope people will open that letter and read about us and contribute some money. Because people out there, as we know now, that a third of the community is a senior. Whether they use the senior center or not, it's still important. They may someday decide to go there, especially if we have a nice new one.
Right.
It's not going to be your old grandfather's senior center. We're trying to make it a modern, upbeat, healthy, active community.
Yeah, and I know I've been doing these presentations this fall, and there were two, and one of them I've taken Frank and Mary at age 70 and at age 80. And then in the final one, we already did these at the Salt Marsh, we took just Mary at age 90, at which point she really needed, assistance, and she needed help. But one of the themes of this was really, when Frank and Mary are 70, you need to be contributing.
Right.
You need to be contributing. The only way that a senior community is really going to be vibrant is with the help of other seniors, because nobody else has time, right? It used to be that all the women did it, right? It used to be that women were at home, and so that all of this talent went into a lot of volunteerism for a whole bunch of things.
Right.
And it doesn't exist, right? And the kids are all over the place, especially in a place like this, right? So the way that this is the only way this is going to work in terms of getting all these things for seniors is if seniors are doing it.
Right.
Right.
Right. And we need more people. There's never enough volunteers because there's so many things we can do, events and parties and social events to keep the people together, because socialization is such an important part of aging in your community. Because you don't want people sitting in their homes and saying, "Oh, I'm too old to go to I'm too young to go to the senior center,"
Or I'm too old.
or "I'm too old."
Or I'm just afraid I'm not going to know anybody there.
Right.
Everybody's got an excuse. But
Right.
really,
Yeah.
really,
Get
really.
a friend, come along.
Yeah, it's
join
like
in.
you go walk in, you're like,
Right,
I'm
right.
not going to know anybody, right?
Yep.
That's a real challenge.
Yeah.
And so are you expecting in 2020 more movement regarding this issue of trying to find a different space or a larger space?
Yes, we are. Actually, they're hoping to have, the engineers are working on it right now. We're hoping to have some conclusions by the beginning of the year in January. So that was one of our reasons too for asking for this, to bring the awareness of the size of the community
Right.
and what the needs are. So we have a Senior Man and Woman of the Year that every year we send out letters, or we send out questionnaires asking people to vote for a man or woman Senior of the Year.
To nominate.
Nominate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to nominate.
Kathy Grieder, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be looking forward to getting updates on the 2020 Nantucket Senior of the Year from you and other people on your committee.
Which will be exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to take a break now and get the latest update from Taylor Hilst from our island home, and then we'll be back with the second portion of our show. Thank you.
Hi Nantucket, this is Taylor Hilst, your Our Island Home Activities Director. We've got some exciting stuff coming up at OIH. We've got Nantucket singer-songwriter Susan Berman performing her original tunes and some covers on the 27th of this month, and also December 5th, that's at 4 p.m. in the OIH living room. We also have a Nan Puppets performance by Liza Obremski of Out to Sea fame. That's at 4 p.m. in the Our Island Home dining room on December 12th. And we also have Nantucket Ballet Company's The Nutcracker at 4 p.m. in the Our Island Home dining room, and that will be on December 18th. We hope to see you there. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to the second half of the Frank and Mary on Nantucket show. We have a delightful guest for this second half, and it's our own Arthur Bergeron. He is here
Hello,
today
Steve.
as a board member for the Friends of Our Island Home, which is the fundraising group for Our Island Home, which is the skilled nursing facility here. So, Arthur, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing with the Friends Board?
Sure. And let me start by saying why it is that I agreed when you asked me to join the Friends Board. This is about a year and a half ago. So as you know, all my work is just with seniors. And so I go to a lot of nursing homes. I've been to a ton of nursing homes. I've never seen anything like the Island Home, right? I always, as you've heard me describe before, that I remember the first time I walked in, I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of shabby." It's kind of old, and and I remember that day that the power door kind of wasn't working very well. You had to kind of push. I was like, but then I went in, and I realized that it was this amazing place. It was just has a different feel to it than any other nursing home I've ever been to. That people are really friendly, and it seems like, and that's just true, kind of everybody knows everybody, and you got some kind of people just kind of wandering around, and you could just feel it was different. And I didn't realize at that time that it was town owned, and I think that's one of the differences. Not necessarily that it's town owned, but that it's not a for-profit big entity. Because I know whenever I talk about my friends Frank and Mary, one of their greatest fears is going to a nursing home. But the nursing home that they have in their head is not the Island Home. It's that other nursing home. which we've all been to, right? And it's big, and it's kind of antiseptic, and everybody's kind of like, and there isn't very much programming.
And they don't allow dogs.
And they don't
probably.
allow dogs or anything, and there's no, and it's a for-profit, you know, so there isn't kind of an emphasis on the extras, right? And you're kind of worried when you're not visiting people regularly there, if you have somebody who's in one of those nursing homes, because they like disappear. They kind of disappear into the back, because there isn't anybody who's really interested in them, because kind of nobody knows anybody, right? And so the island home is just completely different for all of those reasons. And so when I go to other places, I regularly talk to other communities and say, you know, if you want to figure out what your future should be, every community needs a place like our island home. Not a place like, every community needs like our island home, right? Which is a place which is locally controlled, right? And which is a place where therefore you're going to feel comfortable that by going, you're not like disappearing into this you know, this strain. You're going over to the moat into the nursing home and like, goodbye, we'll pretend you're dead now, you know. But rather you're still like alive and people are visiting, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. And so, and by the way, of course, the island home is the only nursing home that has a friends group for that very reason, right? Because who would ever be on a friends group to one of these big institutional places, right? And so I remember it was Fran Kartunen, whom I knew, who had introduced me to you, right? And
by the way, I'm the chair of the Friends of Our Island Home, so that's my.
And you're the chair, and you've been the chair, and you followed, I think, Fran as the.
No, I was the founding.
You were the.
chair. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, indeed.
I didn't know that.
2012.
So it's been around for a while now, right?
I guess so, yeah.
And so one of the things I came to appreciate, there are the Friends of Our Island Home. It's not a standalone 501c3. Donations come through the
Community Foundation for Nantucket.
through the Community Foundation for Nantucket, and it funds the programming, all of the programming. And at our meetings, I mean, the best part of our meetings, so this is also a pitch, right, for more people to be on this board, right? At the meeting, the best part of the meeting is Taylor Hilst, the programs director at the Friends of Our Island Home, at the Island Home.
Activities director.
The activities director.
Title, yes.
Who describes all the things that are happening. And it's just astonishing. You know, and when she talks about some of the folks who do volunteer stuff or really reduced rate stuff, she talks about, you know, a woman who would come in to do
massage,
yep, which was terrific. I remember when and she talks about all the music. You know, I go to these other big nursing homes, and, you know, like on a rare occasion, there'll be a special event, and there'll be somebody coming in, like, to play the guitar. It's like at the Island Home, it's like every couple of weeks. It's
it's weekly.
It's weekly now.
Yes, and I believe that the activities calendar is on the website, on the Town of Nantucket's website, so you can see all the things that she puts together. Some of which are volunteer, and many are supported through donations to Friends of Our Island Home.
Who are supported through donations.
Yes.
And by the way, before I kind of talk about what I was supposed to talk about, which is what we're trying to do to raise those funds, can you say a few words about the daycare thing that happens there? You know?
So the Nantucket Community School has a play group that comes in, and so it's a group of, you know, led by their, you know, young children's program or something, and they just bring mothers and babies in to sit on a mat in the living room and have a play group, just like they would anywhere else. And the little kids, of course, aren't frightened by older people or people in wheelchairs or, you know, some of the other things that happen, and it's just a really...
And so everybody kind of comes in, or if you want to, you get wheeled in.
You just, you know, don't really participate, you're just in the room. It's really fun. It's adorable, actually.
One of the many unbelievable things, like the Nantucket Wheelers, a whole other thing. So anyway, what, you know, we'd been talking about it at the Friends meetings, because we realized that the cash flow on these is always hard, and you're kind of hoping some money will come in, and so my suggestion was, right, that the way that we look at this is we figured out, we asked Taylor to give us an estimate of what it was going to cost, what it really costs on an annual basis, then we just kind of divided by 12 to run these programs.
And these are just the existing programs.
These are existing programs, that's right.
We could do many more programs if we had the additional funding, but
but we don't want to do any less.
Right.
And that was one of the issues, is that we were just kind of running out of money. So my suggestion was that we get 12 people, either businesses or individuals or whatever, to each sponsor one of the months of the programs. And it turns out that that the cost of the programs and the cost of the backup stuff for these programs is about $900 a month. So we've already got 4 of us that have agreed, and I agreed on behalf of Myrick O'Connell that we would be one of the months. And we have 3 other, we have 2 other companies and 1 other individual, actually a couple, that has agreed to sponsor one of the months. And what we're going to do is in each month during that month, we're going to do a board, a large board that'll be on an easel, suitable for framing. Right?
At our island.
At our island home, just saying that this is the entity, or these are the people who are sponsoring the activities for that month. And then at the end of the month, we're going to give that board to the business in case they want to show off, or show off the fact that they've been really trying to support this thing, right? And so there are 4 of us, and now we're going to be the 4 of us are going to be sending an appeal to businesses that we think may be interested in this. But one of the reasons why I was so appreciative when you said about a day ago that you wanted to interview me, and I was like, but I've never been interviewed. I don't know what to say. I only ask questions. But the hope is that maybe even through this show that we'll find some other folks, who can email you or contact you, because you're really here. As you know, I come in every other Thursday, to see if they'd be interested in doing this. And once again, it's not a forever commitment. It's a 1-month commitment. We're trying to line up all of the sponsors throughout 2020. The year of the senior, right?
The Nantucket Senior, yes.
To make sure that we are not, during our meetings, every time we have a board meeting, trying to, hustle around and make sure that we have enough money that the next month's activities get paid. We'd like commitments for that month.
And this sort of came about because we had to furlough a couple of ongoing programs because we didn't have enough money in our fund at the Community Foundation to guarantee.
We ran out of money.
Yeah, a year's worth of programming.
Right.
Right.
And Taylor legitimately didn't want to be on and again, off again with these people who are coming in. We can pay you this month, but maybe not next month.
And so, along with the running of the regular programming, we've had 2 people step forward to do specific tasks, like the second art class is going to be reinstituted. So.
The second art class.
Yes.
And the art classes are?
Well, the art classes at our island home are run by Kathleen Duncombe, and there's a finite number of people that can attend, and people have different levels of, skill and attention. So we had 2 art classes running, and 1 had to be furloughed. And so someone stepped forward to claim the art classes as their contribution, and we had somebody else step forward to make sure that our Christmas program could get started and run. So we've had the garden club step up to do planters for a year. So there are additional things that we will list in the letter that are things that businesses can agree to take on.
And that's really terrific. And once again, I think our real goal is to develop this kind of steady cash flow for the base programs, and then once we've done that, to see at that point what else we can be doing, right? Because there are a ton more things. But in its present form, the activities package here is so far and away better than anything I see at these, supposedly expensive, high-class nursing homes, right? And it just feels better. So thank you for being willing to interview me. And I'm really hoping that I think as far as the folks in Nantucket are concerned, you need to be appreciating these aren't your tax dollars at work, right? This is saving tax dollars. This is allowing, through the kindness really of the taxpayers, there's a significant amount of money that gets paid to help run the island home every year, right?
And actually contributes in a great way to the daily lives of the residents, which is what the Friends mission statement is, to enhance the daily lives of the residents. So that's our goal, and that's what we are doing, and we thank you very much for the energy that you put into our board and your fabulous ideas.
Thank you, and I hope I wasn't terrible as a guest. I really like asking better than answering questions.
I think you did a great job.
But anyway, thank you very much.
And friendsofourilandhome@gmail.com is a way to contact the Friends group.
And we'll be back next month with the next installment of Frank and Mary here on Nantucket. Thank you very much, Allison.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.